Welcome back, learners. We have been discussing Block 3 Unit 1, that is on tribal status and development strategies, and today's session we are going to discuss the topic on the tribal welfare and what are the developed measures in India. The tribal development is based on twin approaches, namely the protection of their interests through legislative and administrative support and promotion of developmental efforts through plan schemes. The legal and administrative aspects are mainly based on different provisions of the Indian Constitution. There are more than 20 articles and 2 special schedules in the Indian Constitution which have been primarily designed for the redressal and upliftment of scheduled tribes following the policy of positive discrimination and affirmative action. Now let us look at some of the important articles. Article 14 confers equal rights and opportunities for all. Article 15 rules out any discrimination on the ground of sex, religion, race, caste, etc. And Article 15(4) enjoins upon the state to make special provision for the advancement of any socially and educationally backward classes. Article 16(4) empowers the state to make provisions for reservation in appointment or posts in favor of any backward classes which in the opinion of the state is not adequately represented. Article 46 deals with the positive responsibility of the state to take necessary steps for the promotion of educational and social interest of the weaker sections of the society, and in particular the scheduled tribes, and promises to protect them from social injustice and all forms of exploitation. Article 275(1) deals with a grant in aid for promoting the welfare of scheduled tribes for raising the level of administration of the scheduled areas. Articles 330, 332 and 335 stipulate reservation of seats for scheduled tribes in Lok Sabha and in the state legislative assemblies and in services. There are 2 schedules in the Indian Constitution to deal with the tribals and scheduled areas. The 5th schedule of the Indian Constitution lays down certain prescriptions about the scheduled areas as well as scheduled tribes in states other than Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram by ensuring submission of annual reports by the governors to the President of India regarding the administration of scheduled areas and setting up of tribal advisory councils to advise on matters related to the welfare and advancement of scheduled tribes. The 6th schedule refers to the administration of tribal areas in the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram by designating certain tribal areas as autonomous districts and autonomous regions, and also by constituting district councils and regional councils. In order to involve the tribal people in the entire process of planning and decision making at the local level, the 73rd and 74th amendments of the Constitution are extended to the scheduled areas through the Panchayats Act 1996. More recently, the Indian Parliament has also passed the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006 to preserve their command over and access to natural resources. In short, all these constitutional provisions are directed towards developing the tribals at par with the rest of the society. The different tribal development measures can be analyzed from 2 perspectives. Firstly, the colonial policy of tribal development, and secondly, the post-independence period efforts of tribal development. Now let us see the colonial policy of tribal development. The study of the socio-economic condition of the tribal people was difficult during the colonial period due to inaccessibility of tribal areas. It was only after the entry of the missionaries into these areas that the officers of the administration started paying some attention to the tribals. The history reflects that the British legislature in India passed the Scheduled District Act 14 of 1874, by which local governments were empowered to identify and declare certain areas as scheduled areas. Some important steps had been taken by British administration for the development of tribals in India are: the British administration created the semi-autonomy territory of Kandhamagal and promulgation of tenancy protection legislation. Again, realizing the backwardness of these areas, the Indian Education Commission of 1882 had suggested for preferential treatment of tribal children in the form of non-payment of school fees and additional grants to the schools located in tribal areas. The colonial policy of tribal development in India was based on the colonial policy of isolation. The colonial government dealt with the tribals, keeping their own vested interest in mind. They realized the potentiality of tribal areas and hence restricted the entry of outsiders or the people from the plains by making the tribal areas partially excluded and excluded areas. So, as a result, the British adopted policies to isolate tribals from general masses. Since the British were also very eager to exploit vast forest wealth and utilize forest regions for defense and security purposes, improvement of communication in these areas was important. So, they took necessary steps to make these areas accessible, but keeping the tribals isolated at the same time. Dr. J.J. Hutton, in his writing on the impact of British administration in tribal areas, observed that far from being of immediate benefit to the primitive tribes, the establishment of British rule in India did most of them much more harm than good. It may be said that the early days of British administration did very great detriment to the economic position of tribes through ignorance and neglect of their rights and customs. Many changes have been caused incidentally by the penetration of tribal country, the opening of communication, the protection of forest, and the establishment of schools, to say nothing of the openings given in this way to Christian mission. Many of the results of these changes have caused acute discomfort to the tribes. Similar observations have also been made by the UN DBAR Commission on the impact of British administration on tribals, where it stated that it resulted in reducing the tribals to a state of penury in most parts of India. They were at the lowest level of literacy except in certain parts. Their lands were heavily encumbered and a good portion had already passed in the hands of non-tribals. Their rights in forests were definitely encroached upon. Outside elements introduced for the purpose of government and forest work continued to exploit them. On many occasions, reforms were ordered, but all these proved futile. Commenting on this, Professor G.S. Ghurye observed that the acute of discomfort was very often so great that it led to apathy, indifference, and moral deterioration, and even a decline in population. Now, let us see the tribal development in the post-independent period in detail. In the Constituent Assembly, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar stated, on the social plane, we have in India a society based on the principles of graded inequality, which means elevation of some and degradation of others. On the economic plane, we have a society in which there are some who have immense wealth and who live in abject poverty. On the 26th January 1950, we are going to enter into a life of contradictions. In politics, we will have equality, and in social and economic life, we will have inequality. In politics, we will be recognizing the principles of one man, one vote, and one value. If our social and economic structure continues to deny the principles of one man, one value, how long shall we continue to live this life of contradictions? How long shall we continue to deny equality in our social and economic life? If we continue to deny it for long, we will do so only by putting our political democracy in peril. We must remove this contradiction at the earliest possible moment, or else those who suffer from inequality will blow the structure of political democracy which this assembly had so laboriously built up. This underlined the importance of adopting special steps for the necessary development of the marginalized section of the society, such as scheduled tribes in India. It is relevant to mention here that there is no explicit or officially laid down tribal policy. The policy thus is derived from the constitutional provisions, various acts and plans and programs. As far as strategies are concerned, a focused and special effort was made during the 5th 5-year plan to evolve a strategy for areas having concentration of tribal population. After independence, there was a hot debate on the approach to tribal development in India. The debate revolved around the colonial policy of isolation and the nationalistic policy of assimilation and integration. The colonial anthropologist Verrier Elwin followed an isolationist path of tribal development after advocating the creation of a national park in an inaccessible part of the country where Baiga culture could be preserved. Later on, he modified his national park theory of keeping the tribals as museum specimens. We do not want to preserve the tribesmen as museum specimens, but equally we do not want to stop the clock of progress, but we do not want to see that it keeps the right time. We may not believe in the myth of noble savage, but we do not want to create a class of ignoble. So this was quoted in Vidyarthi and Roy. This modification of national park theory provides backdrop to Nehruvian model of tribal development, popularly known as the Panchsheel or 5 pillars of tribal development. The 5 fundamental principles are: tribal should develop along the lines of their own genius and nothing should be imposed upon them. There should be respect for tribal rights on land and forest. A minimum investment of outsiders in their administration and development. Administration and launching of multiple schemes should be avoided and effect should be made within the framework of the social and cultural institutions, and evaluation of results should not be statistics but by their quality of life. So these principles gave importance to tribal pluralism and aimed to integrate the tribal population with the mainstream society. Virginus Saxa argues that reservation was extended to scheduled tribes with a view to integrate them in the so-called mainstream of Indian life. Our various policies and programs of tribal developments are supposed to have been based on this approach of integrating tribals with the mainstream and brought at par with the rest of the people. As far as the tribal development is concerned, both the central and state governments have taken series of positive steps for the development of the tribal communities in India. However, the strategies, efforts of the central government will be benefited to all tribal people that have been included in the scheduled list, and the steps taken by the state's government will be confined to the tribal people of the concerned states. So in this context, different subjects related to the tribal development have been specifically mentioned in the union as well as state list. So let us see those subjects in detail. Now when we look at the union subjects, there is welfare of ex-criminal tribes, inclusion and exclusion in the scheduled list for tribes, the prevention of atrocity so far as it relates to scheduled tribes. Now in the state subjects, there is welfare of scheduled tribes, execution of special schemes and coordination of the work undertaken by other departments of the government in this direction, submission of annual reports to the President regarding administration of scheduled areas, all matters relating to Tribes Advisory Council, application of laws to the scheduled areas, regulations for peace and good governance of scheduled areas, problems of shifting cultivation, organization and control of Tribal and Harijan Research cum Training Institute, central grants under Article 275(1) of the Constitution of India, sub-plan for tribal regions and matters related thereto, matter relating to different provisions of preferential treatment policy of various states and rules framed thereunder, matters relating to Tribal Development Cooperative Corporation, education of scheduled tribes, matters relating to Academy of Tribal Dialect and Culture, rehabilitation and resettlement of tribals, all planned, non-planned, central and centrally sponsored schemes concerning the tribals, the entire field establishment and matters relating to education under the erstwhile Harijan and Tribal Welfare Department except the Educational Institution for Scheduled Caste. Over the years, numerous outreaching policies and programs such as anti-exploitative, protective, economics, social, cultural and welfare measures have been adopted by the central and different state governments. All these measures are of two types: overall planning at the micro level and specific tribal development schemes for the welfare of the tribal communities at the macro level. Now let us see in detail the tribal sub-plan. What is tribal sub-plan? Tribal sub-plan is a plan within the state plan aimed at an area development of scheduled tribe, concentrated areas with focus on tribal population. The relatively few achievements of tribal development up to the fourth 5-year plan led to the emergence of tribal sub-plan, and it was brought into effect the commencement of the fifth 5-year plan in the year 1974 to 75. The special responsibility of the Union government in terms of the constitutional provisions was also spelled out. Each central ministry is responsible for the development of these areas in relation to its functional jurisdiction. They should review the tribal situation and provide necessary investment for their speedy development. However, all sectoral efforts in their totality may still not provide the full answer to their problems. It was agreed that the nodal and the residual responsibility would rest with the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Union level under the constitutional scheme. Thus, the roles of all partners in development were defined, and a mechanism for its translation in operational terms was also provided. Another basic premise in tribal development is the recognition of the fact that the socio-economic situation may require a specific answer. The basic unit of planning and implementation, which should be homogeneous and viable, was defined as an integrated tribal development project. The sub-plan should be built from below and represent an organic build-up of project planning. The primitive tribal communities should be identified and special programs with adequate flexibility built up for them. The 9th 5-year plan aimed at empowering scheduled tribes in different spheres, and when we see the 10th 5-year plan, it focuses on tackling the unresolved issues and problems in a time-bound basis, besides providing adequate space and opportunity for the tribals to empower themselves with the strength of their own potentials. During different 5-year plans, the following schemes had taken up under different programs such as protective measures like legal aid, marketing agricultural and minor forest produce, sale and supply of essential consumer commodities, bonded labor, non-productive credit, recognition of excise administration, strengthening of traditional panchayats, and related to agriculture and forest like survey and land records, agricultural research, general agricultural development, credit for productive purposes, landless laborers, training of young farmers, forest villages, development of forest and forest-based economies, etc., shifting cultivation, and animal husbandry, irrigation, communication, electricity, industry like small scale industry and medium scale industries, and mining. There were also special programs for tribals affected by major projects, and also there were isolated small tribal communities. Now coming to the education, 100% coverage of children in age group of 6 to 11 and 75% in age group 11 to 14. And there were also residential schools, provision of principal meals and uniforms, hostel accommodation, pre-metric scholarships, post-metric scholarships, improvement of standards, teaching in mother tongue, extracurricular activities, and physical education, construction of high schools and middle school buildings, special program for youth in the age group 15 to 25, citizen education, stipends to children of teachers, special pay to teachers working in extremely backward areas, construction of residential facilities especially for lady teachers, development of tribal markets as centers for cultural activities. Then coming to public health, there were new public health centers, free medicines, special clinics and mobile dispensaries, safe drinking water, research on tribal housing, development of small model towns in tribal areas, and talking about the administrative and voluntary agencies, strengthening administrative structure, housing for personnel in extremely backward areas, special pay for personnel belonging to development department working in extremely backward areas, and aid to voluntary organizations. So learners, hope you would have understood this block in detail. We have come to the end of this block unit 1. Hope you would watch the video and learn the e-content. Thank you.